Hello and welcome to a long-awaited new episode of It's Your Time You're Wasting with the evergreen Martin Robinson and the
Ever
slightly
red,
haggard-looking David Didow. Yeah,
that's right.
ever pink.
Ever
Ever
pink.
pink. Yeah. The gammon David Didow.
Gammon. There we go. We got you sorted.
Yeah. Got me sorted, governor. God, it's
Yes.
been a while, Martin. I know we've had literally no comments expressing concern at our absence, have we?
People have been so upset they couldn't even move towards the keyboard.
The amount of tumbleweed we've generated is quite substantial. Anyway, we've had good. I mean, I don't know. We couldn't, and then I was away, and you were got your hand stuck in a cornflake packet, and all sorts of things went wrong. And but we're back, and we're back with a corker, aren't we?
Well, we hope so. We'll see what it is.
Very topical, at least.
A big news.
Yeah.
Yes.
So for anyone that's unaware, the Francis Review is out today, and with
That's the Becky Francis review, isn't it? Becky
the
Francis.
Curriculum and Assessment Review.
Professor Becky Francis.
Professor Becky Francis, with her recommendation, a whole raft of recommendations for the government on what should be done about curriculum and assessment, and we're gonna give it a light combing.
Some of which has been accepted by the government, and some of which has. Well, we'll see in the fullness of time how much of it is brought in and how much of it is ignored, as these things sometimes go. But there are some major things that have been accepted already, and certainly will change the shape of some, perhaps, of our schooling in the future.
Absolutely. So the pendulum swings. Is this a swing towards progress or progression or progressive education? Is it regressive? Is it cementing the reforms of Gove and Gibb? Is it undermining them? What's your one sentence take, Martin?
Well, shall we go to one of my favourite sources, and that is the Daily Mail. Always a goodie. And there we go. Yeah. Labour dumbs down schools.
Yeah. So it's all bad. Does it? Does it dumb down? And they're saying that, I think, because, well, there's a couple of recommendations in there which they're not happy about. So they're wary that, or I should say wary. The Daily Mail never does wary, does it? Never does tentative. But they're outraged at getting rid of some of the total length and intensity of GCSEs and the slimming down of certain subject content. They're quite cross about that, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think they're also looking at wokery. The wokery
jiggery wokery.
Changing some of the text or making it more implicit that the text in the actual curriculum, that the text should be from a wider range of sources. Yeah. And obviously climate change as the other thing I think they're worried about as well.
Yeah, because that doesn't exist, obviously, to Daily Mail.
No, it's
all fine.
Yeah, it's a fiction.
It's just slightly nicer summers.
And perhaps citizenship as well. Perhaps they might be worried about
maybe, although
issues around that. But turn to page 4, apparently. I haven't turned to page 4 in the Mail to give them their due. I've only read the front page.
I don't blame you. I think that's enough. But so obviously, and we'll talk about this a bit more, they're upset that the English baccalaureate ushered in by Michael Gove might be on its way out. And
I think that's been accepted. I think that's going.
Yeah. Good. So I say good. Obviously, I know you're going to be devastated, Martin.
Oh dear. Yeah. It's actually might give space for the arts to come back.
Bloody arts.
The arts,
moaning.
Yeah. And performance 8 is kept, though, isn't it?
Yeah, progress 8.
Progress 8. What did I say?
Progress
performance 8.
Sorry, you said performance 8. That's Performance 8 is a sort of experimental theatre company.
It is.
Which,
in Royston Vasey, probably. Yeah.
So interestingly, one quite high-profile commentator that we sometimes mention on the show, Catherine Burble-Singh.
Our favourite strictest head teacher.
Yeah, England's strictest headmistress, was, before she'd read the report, was really quite cross about it. And Bridget Phillipson destroying education. But now she's read it, she's quite pleased.
Yeah, there's two things, isn't there? And I suppose this is perhaps a toss-up where it comes for free schools and academies are now being brought under the aegis of the national curriculum.
Yeah.
So they have to follow it. And that might be something that certainly that sector will object to. But if you're going to have a national curriculum, shouldn't it be national?
National,
therefore
I think
taught.
The devil will be in the detail there, won't it? Because we've got these broad raft of recommendations for all sorts of different subjects, but we've got no curriculum. That's going to be years in the making, I can only imagine.
2027, by the looks of it, is the idea.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to take a while for that to bed in. I know they've been, for the past few months, they've been recruiting curriculum writers to get involved in that, and some direction will at some point emerge, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So is this the end of the line for Professor Becky Francis's involvement? She's written this report, and what happens now?
It's a review.
Yeah.
I thought it was called a review. What happens now to her? I don't know.
Well,
shall we invite her on and talk to her about it? We could always ask. We can always ask, but not today. Let's not do it today. I'm sure she's got
too late.
She's got more important things to do today, I think, which is talk to people on. I saw her on Sky News this morning and various other.
Yeah,
outlets.
Very busy. She's given an interview to Schools Week. Did you read that?
Yes, I did. Yeah. Read that last night. Actually, it was quite good. I mean, the Schools Week, to give their dues, I thought the Schools Week did a very good coverage of the whole thing, looking at quite a few different angles. I think they had 4 or 5 articles about it. So
they did.
hats off Schools Week. Well done.
Hats off. Yeah, well done. We'll put a link to some of the Schools Week articles. There's a number of them. But let's just quickly talk about some of the headline recommendations which have been accepted. So the oracy framework is on its way in.
Yes, oracy is the thing, yes. So,
it's going to complement the existing frameworks for reading and writing. The DfE has said yes to that, so that will be happening at some point in the next year or so. We've got I don't know how big a deal this is, but the national curriculum is going to be a digital product, Martin.
Yes, and this could be all sorts of things, couldn't it? It's going to be online.
Yeah, sounds solidly sensible,
isn't it? Isn't it anyway? But is this a sort of more interactive thing, perhaps?
Yeah, will there be talking head videos of people?
Yes, that'd be
nice. I don't know. Who knows? Well, yeah.
Or AI. It could all be done by AI, of course, and
it could
update itself as time goes by. No. Anyway.
Yeah.
It'll have probably links.
Yeah. So as you said, the Ebacc performance measures and the requirement for schools to have the current Ebacc suite of entries and attainment being headline accountability measures, that's gone.
Yeah.
That is no more. And as we've already said, Progress 8 and Attainment 8 are going to be retained with no changes. Apparently, the DfE
that hasn't been totally accepted by the government. That one,
right?
From what I understand.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Fair enough. What else is
the Ebacc? Yes, but not the Progress 8, Attainment 8 thing. So they're going to look into that in more detail. But I think they accept it in terms of its general drift, shall we say?
Right. Okay. Fair enough. So, anything else stand out to you? There's a lot of stuff on special education, not accepted, but certainly up for review.
Yeah, there is a review going on about that anyway, isn't there?
Yeah, there is.
So,
there's the recommendation that teachers, Martin, of all people, should be involved in the testing and design of programs of study. That's a bit radical, isn't it?
I know, it's extraordinary. What I mean, what's the world coming
It'll never
to?
work.
It'll
Nonsense.
never because
Yeah.
they'll just want to do it such a way that they can spend more time in the staff room and at home.
Wow. I mean, so some of the sort of broad recommendations sound a bit bland. Things like the curriculum, in whatever refreshed state it looks, must be aspirational, engaging, and demanding.
Yes, but
So all the adjectives.
yes, it is the way of these things to make sure that they say their own headlines somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
What does it mean in practice?
No, exactly.
No one ever knows. But
no one ever knows.
The devil is in the detail.
It is. So, but there is a commitment to retain something that we're calling knowledge rich. I don't think that's very clearly specified.
Yeah, and also the idea of a cohesive curricula, and that the order of things matters, and things like that, and particularly in things like languages, about also how you start languages off in primary and how do you move from primary to secondary, and
there's been some very, very recent changes to language specifications, and I think they've said as a result they're not going to mess around. They're recommending not messing around with language very much. So that's probably sensible. Language teachers would be a bit panicked to think they're going to have to go through another upheaval after just going through one.
Didn't they talk in terms of language? Aren't they talking about the English language? Aren't they being quite radical with their recommendations to what should happen to English?
Well, should we talk about English then?
Yeah,
let's talk about English. So they're asking, and it's kind of interesting in the one paragraph they use the word clear or clarity 3 times in the same sentence.
So it obviously isn't.
Yeah. So they really want some clarity, and that's obviously I'm all for clarity. But what do we mean? What do we mean? But what are they? So a clearer sense of purpose. So what is English for? And I think that's really important because I think that at the moment it's a bit of a Frankenstein. It's not really clear what English language GCSE is. It's broadly overlaps with English literature in lots of ways. I think it's a very unloved bastard child. Nobody. I don't think I've come across anyone that defends the current iteration of the English language GCSE, and they're calling for a clearer distinction between English and literacy, which is probably a good thing because literacy ought, if it's anything, ought to apply to all, or certainly most of the subjects across the curriculum in lots of different. I say all of the subjects.
Bless you.
Excuse me. Yeah, thank you.
You're allergic to the word literacy, clearly.
I know. Yeah, it brings me out in hives. So we're maybe. I mean, one of the things which has aerated English teachers and commentators on English about the replication of the GCSE into Key Stage 3, and because the GCSE language specification really isn't much of a specification. It has no specified content. And so as a result, teachers only have the exam structure as a guide to how to teach. And so the inevitable consequence of that is that we've had at least 2, if not 5 years of children learning
GCSE.
The
never-ending GCSEs. Talking never-ending, there's also this Key Stage 2 tests are being dropped. Key Stage 3 Year 8 test being brought in. Which
so at least it's not in Year 9 because that would just be SATs, wouldn't it?
Yes, I mean, it seems a bit odd.
Well,
what are they trying to do?
Well, they want to test. They want to test reading specifically, don't they? So it's a diagnostic test within English in Year 8 to identify reading weaknesses, and whether or not it's a good thing depends entirely
On
on
what it
how
is.
the test is structured. Yeah, if it's anything like the current English language GCSE or anything like the current SATs reading paper, it'll be utterly useless because those are not really very good reading tests. They're tests of general knowledge and basically how middle class you are. So we want to avoid. I would suggest we want to avoid that at all costs.
The middle class test, I like that.
Yeah, how middle class are you? Well done. Your middle class score is, and so as with anything, the consequence of these tests is the weight that's put on them. They inevitably become accountability measures. So you start holding schools to account for the outcomes of these tests, and that has a warping effect on what happens in the curriculum. If the test is amazing and tests reading in a really sensible way, then that could have a really powerfully positive effect. I remain quietly dubious about whether or not that will happen. I hope it will.
Why is it being aimed at year 8? Do we know?
Well, I think there's an anxiety that that children dip in terms of their performance from leaving primary. So it's a way of establishing post year 7, so a whole year and a bit into secondary school, what's the effect of what's happening in secondary school on children's reading? Now, in an ideal world, it's improving, but I think there is a sense in which it might not be. And currently, we've got no way to establish that. There is no statutory assessment which allows us to see whether children are making expected progress until the end of year 11. And so I think statutory testing is a great thing, and I think it really, really helps. It's just the fact that because we are obsessed with statutory assessments becoming accountability measures for schools and piling the pressure onto students, as is what happens with Key Stage 2 SATs, that it has this really negative impact on everything that happens in the year that the test takes place.
Yeah.
So we don't have to do that.
Is the problem they're trying to fix? I mean, is it a reading issue that they're trying to fix here, or a general English issue, or
right?
I mean, what is
right.
it? Because the love of reading. I mean, that's something that people go on about as well. That you start secondary school and suddenly you don't love reading anymore. And all those, but you don't love school anymore, really, as well.
No,
I mean, those figures come out as well. Is having a test actually going to fix the love of reading score? I doubt that.
No, it definitely won't. Having a test is, and I don't think. I think if anyone ever tried to design a test to capture whether children loved reading, it'd be a foolish test.
It's the wrong thing to do in the first place.
It's a very stupid thing to do, and why
test
should anyone?
Love.
Yeah, I mean, people love doing things that they get a benefit and a pleasure from, and that's what we should focus on, not the process of loving something. I think that's idiocy.
Yeah,
Anyway.
Yeah.
But obviously, reading has an impact on all academic subjects. And there was an interesting piece of work that GL Assessments did over the last few years, looking at the correlation between reading scores on their NGRT test and GCSE outcomes. And one of the
Can you explain to the average viewer who doesn't know what NGRT means? In other words,
So NGRT, New Group Reading Test. It's a reading assessment which schools currently opt into. They buy in order to establish whether where children are at with their reading or whether they're making progress. And what it does is it measures two things. One, there's two parts to the test. One of them is sentence completion. The other one's passage comprehension. And you get a score for both of those things. And the combined score is your reading ability. And that then generates a reading age and a standard age score and all those good things. And so there's a huge number. I think it's the most frequently taken test by children in secondary schools in Key Stage 3
Okay.
that
Is it
measures
accurate?
reading
Is it
currently.
valid?
Well,
Is it accurate, etc.?
so its validity is based in large part on the fact that it's standardised by such a large number of children taking it.
Yeah.
So essentially, what you get to do within looking at the children within your school, you get to compare your outcomes against national average outcomes and get a sense of how your cohort and the individuals within it compare to everybody else.
So a national test
that,
would do that. A national
yeah,
test would do that.
a national test would do that, and so the advantages are, I mean, the disadvantages obviously of having to pay GL assessment for this is that it's expensive. So having a national test doing this will be
cheaper
for schools. I can imagine GL being quite concerned about that, and other companies that sell tests. But
they'll be
may well be. Well, they may
be asked to do it.
They may well find the fact that they market preparatory tests.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So they could.
That's year 7 sorted.
I know. I'm not worried. I'm not worried about these big companies. But obviously, because schools are buying into this and opting into it, they're not being held to account on that data. They're using it, if they're using it properly, if they're using it well, they're using it to triage children into appropriate interventions in order to improve their reading. And they're using it to hold themselves to account for the progress children within their intakes, whether they're making expected progress. And to that extent, it potentially very useful. But as soon as that becomes externalized, as soon as that becomes something that the Daily Mail makes headlines out of, then it becomes something else. So,
and also, what happens to people who don't do well in this test?
Well, currently,
no, the new test, the proposed year 8 test. Do they have to redo it in year 9? Do they have to redo it?
No, I wouldn't have thought so, because it'll be, as is SATs currently, it'll be a non-certificated test. So it will be a benchmark measure of where a child is at a particular moment in time in year 8.
Which the teacher would know anyway.
Well, in an ideal world, yes. But there are many schools that aren't using an equivalent of NGRT.
No, but I mean, you know a kid's standard of reading pretty much as their classroom teacher, no?
You might say that, Martin. I couldn't possibly comment.
Let's move hurriedly on then. So we've got this test. We don't know what's going to be like. Perhaps we'll move on from that a bit as well. What else do we think about the changes to English? One of which is one of in my ballpark actually, which is the drama.
Drama returns to the stage, Martin.
Yes, there you go. Well done. So yeah, generally,
it's never been a national curriculum subject, has it?
Well, this is the thing. It has never been a subject in its own right, and still is not a subject in its own right. So there is that, shall we say, that. And for me as a drama teacher, I must say, when I was teaching, it not being a national curriculum gave me a lot of freedom to actually teach drama better, I think, than was stated within the English subject descriptors for the national curriculum where drama sat. And drama sat very much as a pedagogical tool.
Yeah.
And obviously I was wanting to teach it as an art form, and therefore the freedom to teach as an art form was easier for me as outside of the English aegis, if you like. So it's remaining under English, but in a sort of enhanced way, and it is also very much looking as though they are taking seriously the idea that drama is an art form, and perhaps moving away from this pedagogical tool, which sort of undermines the whole teaching of English in lots of ways, because if you're using it to do role play, etc., or roll on the wall, conscience alleys, still image, etc., which were mentioned. Tableau is the theatrical term, darling, but more theatrical, perhaps. Well, we could argue about that, but the pedagogical tool that English teachers were then being asked to use as a way of teaching English got in the way, perhaps, of certainly the new knowledge curricula and all the science that is accompanying it, the cognitive
science,
the psychological cognitive sciencey memory stuff that you love, all that sort of stuff, whatever it's called. You love it.
Yeah.
Love it, mate.
Love it.
So and this is the thing, where is all that pedagogical thing going to go? Look to the oracy curriculum.
Yeah, that does look like it has the makings of being an absolute shit show, doesn't it?
Well, look, oracy, I don't like the term. I prefer the term dialectic and rhetoric, obviously.
Of course you do.
Of course I do. But it's good to have speaking and listening in the curriculum. Why should it not be there? It always has been, and it always will be. You know, it's an important part of education.
Yeah. And the problem, as any English teacher will tell you right now, is that it is there. It is a statutory requirement, but it carries no weight in the way in which the subject is assessed. And so it's very, very much a bolt-on. So the National Oracy Framework, which is going to be on its way, will... I mean, here's the thing. I think it's, in some ways, it's intended to underpin well-being, isn't it? It's
and citizenship.
And citizenship and
citizenship. I mean, there is a good argument for that in terms of, in a democracy, having a voice, developing argument, and all those things that, you know, dialectic and rhetoric, all those speech making, debating, all those things I think are important.
We love those things, don't we? Yeah. We love real thought. We love debate and interpretation. The idea of the Socratic dialogue, all of that stuff is fine and dandy, and I think both of us would be very supportive of that. But what I dread, Martin, it's going to turn into oracy rubrics.
Yeah, and also
laminated sentence stems.
Yeah, and
lots of group bobbins.
Yeah, it's the same thing that happened with the idea of making a poster or something like that instead of doing an essay or whatever. In that you get to a point that the way it's actually going to be done in the classroom and sold to schools, because this is the sort of thing consultants love. Is here we go. Here's my book. Here's my worksheets. Here's my PowerPoint. In fact, I think I ought to get on and do them. Here's my PowerPoints, my oracy PowerPoints. Here's how you teach oracy. The whole thing.
Turn those on before it becomes the Oracy Framework Voice 21.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't possibly mention any company or organisation, but you can see how these things could go.
Yeah. Absolutely, you could. Absolutely could. Lots of risk, but lots of reward. So again, you know, as we've said a number of times now, the devil very, very, very much in the detail. Grammar, though, I think that's a good shout. I'm quite pleased about the way in which they want to resequence grammar. They want to carefully think about what's taught in Key Stage 2 and work out what bits they might need to jettison. I think there's lots of stuff in there which is nice to know, but doesn't really make much impact.
So reducing the depth, or the breadth, the breadth of it.
I think reducing the breadth, I think, is probably a good thing. And you know, I think that the fact that children have to learn and master things like the subjunctive mood, it's nice to know. But it's not something that I think drives thinking forward. And so the idea that
when should you learn about the subjunctive mood?
Well, if and when you're interested. I don't think it's.
Follow the child.
An opinion. It's an opinion. I don't think it's important enough to specify in a curriculum. There's all sorts of gubbins that's part of grammar which we choose not to teach, and to have a focus on the things which most shape the ability to think and communicate, I think, is a wise move. So the way in which, I think I would describe syntax as a tool for connecting concepts, and giving children a range of tools which allow them to connect the concepts which they're taught across the range of subjects in which they are expected to master is probably a good bet.
Yeah, isn't the current sort of idea of grammar, if you look at it right from key stage 1, well, key stage 2 certainly, almost just a list of stuff that somebody has put together because they like these things, but not thinking about how they actually work in terms of being taught to people.
Well, I think that's true, and I think there's almost no sense of hierarchy.
Yeah.
In terms of like which it makes sense to do before others, and very much the way the current GPS test works is it rewards children.
GPS is grammar, punctuation, and spelling.
Punctuation, spelling, yeah. It rewards them being able to point things out rather than reproduce them independently. So. As I understand it, the proposals of that test is likely to be retained as an end of Key Stage 2 element of testing, but fundamentally revised so that it's asking children to do different things with the grammatical knowledge that they have acquired, which sounds like a really good thing, because I think that children often come into secondary being aware of a whole range of metalinguistic terms, but not really being able to use them.
Right. And do they actually have any understanding of them or any?
Quite. Because that isn't a focus of assessment in secondary English. It typically withers on the vine.
Okay.
So that's grammar. The other English bit is the canon, Martin.
This is where the Daily Mail are getting exercised, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we did a program on this a month or so back, didn't we?
We keep returning to the canon.
And particularly on the early warnings that Becky Francis was giving in September at the Research Ed Conference on children seeing themselves in the curriculum, and we had a whole discussion on what that meant. So that's very much the idea that children are expected to see themselves in the curriculum. It's very much enshrined in the report. That is there as expected, but big tick for Shakespeare. Shakespeare survives.
He always will. You can't
evergreen.
You imagine being the education secretary who comes in and kicks out Shakespeare.
Yeah, the Daily Mail would love that. But we're keeping the 19th century novel, which sounds similar, but the previous iterations of the English curriculum didn't have a requirement for 19th century novels, so that isn't nothing. That's we're retaining an emphasis on poetry. Again, maybe people think that's taken for granted, but
do you think school is the only place? It's probably the only place most people actually read poems.
I think it probably is, Martin, and I think that not very many.
And Shakespeare probably, come to think of it.
Well, depending on your middle classness, darling, I think that's definitely true. I think the problem with poems, I think a lot of English teachers confess to being a bit scared of poetry and sort of not really liking it, and it gets neglected very easily. Children talk about hating poetry, and I think it's like anything. It's like me. We were having a conversation before. I'll just fill you in. Well, I've just been to see La Bohème, and I was saying, I was a bit underwhelmed, and Martin was aghast at my Philistine take on Puccini. And my problem with opera is that I just don't know very much about it, and so it's quite alien to me, and I've got very little to hang on to. And I think that many children encountering poetry, when it moves beyond essentially the nursery rhyme and something that sort of bounces along with a lovely meter, they're quite alienated by the strangeness of it, and they're so unfamiliar with the form that their only real response is to say, "No, I hate it."
Okay, so if we're broadening the canon, is rap music, etc., grime, etc., etc. I'm not going to go through and embarrass myself by losing out to the phrases, but in terms of that, is it a way in?
You've embarrassed yourself enough, Martin.
Is it a way into poetry?
I mean, it's always been a way into poetry. It's always been something that English teachers have done. Whether or not they should.
Rap.
Yeah, a little bit.
No, and always. I wasn't taught rap before rap was invented, but I know what you mean.
No, but song lyrics, I'm sure you probably encounter. Did you never encounter song lyrics in English?
Hang on.
Bit of
She's
Bob
leaving
Dylan.
home.
There you are.
I
You
think it was
see.
She's Leaving Home about, yes.
Yeah,
God.
yeah.
Yes.
There's a great essay. I love it. Anyway, I say great. There's a really interesting essay by Simon Armitage, which is called "We Have to Talk About Bob," about Dylan winning the Nobel Prize for Literature, where he's a self-confessed Bob Dylan fan. Always loved Dylan's music, but just takes apart the actual writing and says there's no way that Dylan's writing holds a candle to something that is intentionally to be consumed as poetry, and that what makes Dylan's oeuvre compelling is inseparable from the music, and that songwriting, rap, I include in that is a different form. It's not the same thing as poetry, and we need to make. I think we need to make that distinction clear and say, that they're very different things, and they both have value, of course, but you can't teach rap or Bob Dylan and pretend that you're teaching poetry. I think.
So
I'm an old.
are you saying that Bob Dylan should not have got the Nobel Prize for Literature?
Well, I wouldn't have given it to him. I mean, I don't think the quality is good enough at the level of just the writing.
You've heard it here first. Bob Dylan, not good enough.
Get in touch. Tell me I'm wrong. Let's have a fight.
I think Carl Hendrick quite likes Bob Dylan for some reason.
I like Bob. I love Bob.
No,
Dylan.
I mean as the words.
Oh well, bless him. I mean,
I think I might be completely wrong. I'll have to talk to Carl about that.
I mean, Carl Hendrick thinks a lot of strange things, doesn't he?
Let's move hurriedly on.
Yeah, let's do that.
So broadening the curriculum.
The key thing is about diversity and representation.
Yeah.
Isn't
So
it?
if you are a Jewish boy from where is he from? Where is he from?
Who? Bob Dylan?
Yeah. He moved to New York, didn't he? Was he a country
somewhere
boy?
quite rural, wasn't it? He wanted to be in New York.
It begins with D, I think. Anyway, no, I don't know.
Delaware?
I don't know. Maybe that begins with D. Certainly.
Well, it does. I'm going to look that up while you're waffling.
Well, I'll waffle away. I'll actually do my Bob Dylan impression, if you like.
Oh, go on, please.
No, let's not.
No.
Where's he from?
Is that it?
No, I'm not going to do it. I said I'm not going to do it.
You did do it.
I was warming up to not doing it.
Come on.
Anyway, go on. Where's he from?
Okay, so not beginning with D.
Not beginning with D. Another Minnesota.
A small mining town called Hibbing.
Hibbing, that's it. Yeah, that begins with D.
No, it doesn't.
Nearly. It's close.
No, I mean not that close.
It's only a few letters away in the alphabet.
Yeah.
When you write it in the right way. Anyway, go on. So broadening the canon. So if you're a young Jewish boy from Hibbing,
Minnesota,
you're studying,
you're going to see yourself.
You'll see yourself in the Bob Dylan.
There aren't many children from Hibbing, Minnesota, going to school in England.
No,
but
well,
there
it might
are
be.
children
Might be.
going to school in England from all corners of certainly the Commonwealth, or countries that were previously in the Commonwealth,
like America.
And I mean, okay.
No, never in the Commonwealth was it? It was part of the empire. No. So let's move on.
No, exactly. Shush. And we talked about this before, about the whole idea of seeing yourself, and the problem is that there's no way in which everybody can see themselves in the curriculum, and we should perhaps be teaching literature in a way that everyone sees themselves in the universality of great literature. And
making those connections, making the connections to the human condition.
Exactly. And it's quite potentially very superficial to have characters in books with a range of backgrounds. That isn't necessarily the best way to accomplish the aims. But the
good thing is, though, there is a wide range of great literature out there that does encompass more than one mode of being, if you like. So
For sure. Yeah, for sure. But I think the challenge is going to be, and we go back to the fact that none of this stuff is specified as yet. But the challenge is going to be that the curriculum review says, on one hand, we're going to retain, the canon. We're going to keep the idea of writing from the British Isles, but we're also going to commit to diversity and all children being able to see themselves in the curriculum. So that's not an easy task to do well. Not an impossibility. It'll be exciting potentially to see what we come up with.
And the idea of cohesion is important, and
it is.
What follows on from what's the conversation that we are creating in the curriculum for people to follow and to join in with.
No
less.
Yeah.
So and this the Ebacc, is it a bad thing to kick out the Ebacc?
I don't think so. I mean, it was always a bit of a strange nonsense, wasn't it? It was always a way, apparently, of trying to smuggle in greater emphasis on science and modern foreign languages and things which were considered appropriately rigorous, and to marginalise subjects which the Daily Mail didn't like.
It's odd that it's. I mean, it was brought in, wasn't it, under the idea that this was to stop the dumbing down, particularly for working class kids who were being offered, a dumbed down curriculum full of, and they got rid of swathes of subjects as well, didn't they? Exam subjects at the same time. So there were quite a few, streamlining of the offer, shall we say, at GCSE, where Mickey Mouse subjects. Do you remember those?
I do.
The working class were doing, so the working class kids were passing in flying colours in Mickey Mouse, but not in English and Donald Duck and Goofy.
Yeah, lots of Goofy. So I mean, we talked a little bit about a more radical way of thinking about exam reform. We talked on the show about Amanda Spielman's idea of having a sort of general certificate which looked at assessing a broad range of subjects within a narrowed academic curriculum. Maybe this is a step towards this. If we're stripping out some of the contents of subjects like the sciences, because there's an acknowledgement that there's too much stuff, there's an over specification of content in some subjects. Maybe this set of proposals is getting a little bit closer to something like that. We're not going to have that. We still are going to keep traditional subjects, GCSEs, and I think as it said in the report that although England is not an outlier in terms of having certificated examinations at 16, it is an outlier in terms of the quantity of assessment that's done at 16. And so that's probably a good thing, I think, Martin.
Yeah, they're talking about reducing the amount by about 10%, which doesn't sound
much. But
especially if you're then talking about bringing in triple science as a thing that should be on offer in every school. That'll be interesting for certain free schools we could mention. I don't know. The Ebacc itself, it was an idea to make people more academic or whatever, but you look at languages, it really didn't work for languages. Language is, I think, was still on the decline in numbers taking it, or certainly plateaued. Quite at a lower level than the sciences and the maths and Englishes of this world.
I think
a humanity. And the fact you have to give up geography, or you can't do history and geography or something like that in lots of schools is, I think, crazy. But what do I know?
Yeah. Well, anyway, so we're getting we're getting, as you say, we're making, and I think lots of. I saw a comment from the RSC. They're chuffed to bits with this. They think, and I think you would agree, that this makes space for subjects like art and drama and music to have more prominence.
Yeah, at GCSE level, certainly.
And if at GCSE, maybe further down as well.
Further down and further up as well, because I mean, something like there's been a 50% reduction in the numbers of students taking A-level theatre, for instance, since the Ebacc came in, and something approaching, I don't know, 70%, something ridiculous in terms of, I think 49% of schools only now do drama at Key Stage 3. I mean, most schools do not do drama at Key Stage 3.
Right.
So
these, I think you've talked about in the past that they do it sitting down at desks.
They have, and some schools I know of, not all of them by any means, but some schools I know of brought that in because of the discipline. The difficulty in seeing kids out of desks doing their own thing,
and the antipathy towards group work in any form, which is obviously get observed in a subject like drama.
Yeah, and there are subjects which need group work, and because if you're out of practice of doing it, I suppose then you have to have practitioners who can actually do it, and a lot of drama departments are just single teachers, doing their thing, and find it very difficult.
Of patchouli oil.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah,
carry on.
No, I know. So, what do we make about the emphasis on citizenship teaching? What do you think of that?
Yeah, I don't know much about what they're actually saying here, and again, what it actually is going to mean. I think they're talking about it, bringing it into primary in a bigger way, and making sure it's there. The trouble with citizenship is where it sits and how it sits in its place, because there's the whole PSHE program. So they're also talking about financial literacy. What is a mortgage? And all that sort of stuff, which has been headline stuff. But these are tiny, tiny things. I mean, what the kids need to know what a mortgage is. They're never going to get one.
Well, yeah, and I mean,
that's the major thing. That's the major thing. Whether you're ever going to get one, and that's.
I've got one, and I'm not really sure what it is.
Yeah, still not sure. You should have had financial literacy. You see, why can't the bloody maths teachers teach it? What are they doing all those? They've got 11 years.
They're just drawing Venn diagrams.
What's their problem?
Like that.
Well, you taught people how to the pound in their pocket and things like that.
Yeah.
Look. So citizenship. Where's it going to sit? And it's still a subject. I think it's still even in the.
You can do a GCSE in it. I believe.
So it's still
I don't
there.
know if anyone or very many schools offer that.
No.
But I think that the real problem is for subjects like this is that schools don't have specialist staff to teach the subjects, and so it often gets dumped on the lap of a form tutor. And
and
hasn't got the time or inclination to do it justice,
or know anything about it. But they look at it in the morning and you say, "Oh God, I've got to teach this now," and then all of a sudden it's like that. That's what happened to the Batley grammar teacher who is looking into his RE lesson that morning, and I don't know who it was that morning. He might have prepared it longer, but this was a lesson that had been taught a few times, and there he is showing cartoons of Muhammad, and the next thing he's on the run. You've got to be careful what's in your folder of the morning or on your slides. Yeah. Oh, this is the subject oh my God. Yeah. But what is a mortgage? I'm sure you can teach it, but is it going to be part of an actual program of study? Is it actually part of, a cohesive curriculum, or is it a one-off lesson? And the trouble with when these things are...
It becomes tick box, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a nonsense. So there are many things you could learn about before you get to what is a mortgage. Like, what are interest rates, I mean, it's a big package. And I'm surprised I'm surprised if it isn't taught at all somewhere along the line. I mean, there's business studies might mention it. It might be mentioned in politics and economics classes. It might be mentioned in maths classes, as an example.
Yeah, it's not normally the plot of many novels in English lessons.
No. Literacy across the curriculum.
How are we going to get them? Although I'm currently reading an Anthony Trollope novel. Where the local squire is mortgaged up to his hilt. And
there you go.
A big deal. Yeah,
What's his hilt? I mean, forget about that. Then we also need lessons on hilt.
hilts. I feel well placed to give hilt lessons. Yeah, well, okay, let's backing hurriedly away from that. AI readiness, Martin.
Yeah, well,
What the hell is that?
That's kids doing their homework by AI. Are they ready to do all their homework by AI?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So is it fear of AI that's driving this?
I think it should be both, isn't it? And there's also this thing about being critical viewers of media and
yes,
and all those things as well, which I think
is that part of citizenship?
I think. Well, where would you draw it? You could put it in media studies, couldn't you? Yeah, but media studies is another subject that's sort of declined over the years.
Squeezed. Yeah.
As media has increased.
Yeah. Well, so anyway, that gets talked about quite a bit. There's the idea of there's emphasis on sustainability. Maybe this is why the curriculum will be available as a digital product, no paper. That sounds sensible, doesn't it?
Yeah, you know exactly what that means. It's the same when you've got no paper and you've got to sign a contract for your solicitor or something like that. Basically, it means you print it out. The government don't provide it on paper, but you print it out in your school to distribute amongst your staff or whatever. It's the paperless office.
Yeah. So, there's no getting away from the fact that schools still require pen and ink, don't they, and paper. We're a way off.
They are talking about. Sorry, they are talking about doing exams online.
They are. They absolutely are, and that's being piloted this year. The EdXL paper is available as an online test this year. But the idea of a big national exam like that, every school having the infrastructure and the hardware to be able to get all of their Year 11 cohort
and hardware that works.
At the same, exactly. And that's a vast expense.
I also think
we're not there. We're a long way from that.
And they are talking about it though, and I think a lot of it is multiple choice questions and tick boxing and things like that probably. But not only that, they're also talking about handwriting lessons in key stage whatever it is. And at what point are they going to teach typing?
Well,
if you want people to do lots of their work online, you should teach typing.
Increasingly a thing of the past. Aren't we all going to have voice recognition?
So just typing, speak it.
Yeah, typing seems a bit passé suddenly.
Oh, right, okay.
You
can't do that. You'd have to type in an exam hall, wouldn't you? You can't have them all speaking because they'd all be cheating.
Yeah, no. But
listen to Johnny. Johnny knows what he's doing.
You can, of course, have people using a stylus and handwriting on a tablet, and that being turned into. There's all sorts of possibilities. I think typing. I personally see teaching typing as quite retrograde, and probably a bit 20th century now.
Okay. But if you're using keyboards, it's a sensible thing. But
for sure, yeah. But should it be part of the curriculum? Maybe this is a way to leverage the oracy that more of assessment should be following the form of the viva.
Yeah, and where this is full circle because we're going back to the medieval universities where the viva was pre-essay.
Yes.
Yeah, being able to explain your work. I think I did a thing about this. I don't know if we mentioned it on here, but a girl had written an essay comparing Bertolt Brecht and a car mechanic, and had written about car mechanicry in quite a lot of detail. And I started questioning her about her knowledge of car mechanicry. She knew nothing. Oh, did you copy this from somewhere? And cut and pasted the whole damn thing from some obscure thing online. Yeah, you've got you. In order to know your stuff, you need to. But can you do this in a classroom of 30 kids?
There's definitely a scalability issue. I mean, maybe this is an area where technology can really help. that I don't have a tech solution at my fingertips to suggest, but surely somebody has a product to sell that will accomplish this. But I don't know what it is. But yeah, I think that being able to explain and justify and defend our ideas is very much in the spirit of the, whatever will turn out to be in the oracy framework
and citizenship.
Yeah, all of that, and I think it definitely has now might be the time to start investigating how to make that part of the assessment system in a more formal way. But I think what will prevent it in the short term is that it's hard.
It's very hard, but it's certainly a school of education that's been around for years. So I think teachers do have it within themselves to actually do it. It's like you say, the amount of people in front of you and the amount of time and the amount of content, etc., etc. But it's a good way of talking of memory, being able to discuss things.
Absolutely,
is a good way of remembering things, and bringing things to mind, and also creating new stuff, creating new knowledge and new ideas.
Absolutely. So we like that, and maybe this is, I don't know, maybe this is something. Before we sort of wrap up, what do you make about the idea of professional autonomy within entitlement?
And this is about teachers, yeah? Yeah. So the level...
What does that mean?
Well, I've got no idea, but let's have a guess. I don't know the context, but it's the report saying this. So how much autonomy do teachers have at the chalk face, as it used to be called, or it used to be? And how much do they get told what to do? The poor bloody infantry going over the top, and off you go and get shot. So how much are you? I think you need, and this is the trouble with the national curriculum all the way through, is that you do need a certain amount of leeway in your own classroom and in your own school and in your own neighborhood, et cetera, at different levels, and that it can't be all centrally guided and told what to do. But the trouble is there, and this is where the trouble arises, is how good is your teacher in the classroom? And if you're a parent of a child in a classroom, and then the classroom down the corridor is actually got a teacher who's teaching a better curriculum and a better order of things with more interesting texts, etc., then how do you feel about that? And I think it's within school differentials between teachers is quite high, and
within school variation higher.
That's the word. That's a better way of describing it. Within school variation. That sounds better.
That sounds scientific.
It does. That sounds good. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. But I'm the dumb teacher down the corridor who's teaching the worst curriculum. You see, haven't got the words. I ain't got the English. I ain't got the language. I'm Caliban. I'm Caliban to your Prospero.
Yeah, but your wind is full of noises.
Certainly is.
Anyway, sorry about that. Well, let me just tell you a little bit about what the review says. So it's describing the proposed new national curriculum as an entitlement that all children are entitled to a shared baseline of knowledge, irrespective of background. That sounds good. Happy with that. But within that, teachers should retain professional autonomy to, and I'm quoting here, exercise their judgment and innovate, ensuring that the curriculum is locally relevant and brought to life in the classroom. So what does that mean? How are we going to walk that line? What does that look like?
Again, we don't know. We don't know in practice. I mean, it's absolutely right, I think, by the way. Certainly, but it's like we said, it's full of problems.
It's full of problems. So again, I'm going on here. It says greater specificity should not mean greater volume of content. Yes, I think that's true, and it must not substantially restrict teachers' flexibility to choose lesson content and how to teach it. Now, I mean, the difficulty with teachers' ability to substantially, their flexibility to choose lesson content and how to teach it, is that exactly what you've just been saying, Martin. Some teachers might not choose wisely or well. Should anyone have the autonomy to make bad choices?
Well, but if the
Yeah.
entire curriculum is a bad choice, the national curriculum,
Oh,
then at least you've got the flexibility to not do it to some extent, to perhaps do that. I mean, how flexible? I mean, this is where the nonsense comes in. You have a national curriculum, but you don't have to do it. Is it sort of defeats the object. So it becomes a series of tick boxes that you say, are you doing a 19th century novel? Yes. Are you doing this? Yes. Are you doing that? But does it all fit together? God knows. So individual teachers...
Yes, it does, because it's all on a curriculum snake.
That's right. Yes. Oh, I love those. Oh, my God, I hate them.
Yeah, they're dreadful. Anyone using a curriculum snake, stop it. There we are. You heard it here. What I do like is it refers to teachers as curriculum makers. That sounds quite nice.
Yeah, curriculum maker.
I don't know how accurate it is.
You could actually call yourself that. I'm a curriculum maker.
Yeah.
I'm not a teacher. Well, I'm a curriculum maker.
I make curriculum. Yeah. I don't know that it's necessarily accurate, but it sounds good. Maybe it's more of a statement of intent.
I'm worried about the idea it's individual because I think it shouldn't be individual. It should be groups of teachers within a school. So it should be at a level of cooperation and collaboration.
I think that sounds right, Martin. And it's certainly about equipping teachers to intellectually prepare for interpreting and transforming the content of the curriculum, which is the way in which the report views it. They're saying the curriculum is a baseline, not a limit. That sounds good. So you can always do a bit more. And I think this is crucial. And I think it's a bigger problem in some subjects than others. Teachable within the time available. And anyone who's ever had a conversation with a room full of science teachers will know that the level of content in the science curriculum is such that teachers have got barely time to cover the content, let alone for children to actually learn it.
Yeah, and it also comes down to how the content is organised, because if it's organised in any subject as one damn thing after another, it's never going to be retained and remembered by the kids who were taught it, because it's how it's structured. So there are ways of making content heavy subjects make more sense and be retainable, but absolutely, if it is just a list of things like the grammar thing that don't hang together in any sort of sensible way, then it just becomes a list
one
of
damn
stuff
thing after another.
One damn thing after another is never a good way to design or teach a curriculum.
No, agreed. So coming to the ends, we've skimmed and scanned the curriculum report. There's probably lots of detail in there.
We did mention D&T and lots of other things that should be mentioned, and the vocationals.
We just don't care about those things that much, do we?
T levels and V levels,
all
these other things. Perhaps we could do another show on vocational education at some point, or something like that.
I think that's V levels. They obviously are speculated. They're proposed, but they don't exist as yet. T levels, of course, do. They've had a slightly troubled entree, but
everything to do with the vocational side of education in this country has been troubled since the beginning of vocational education in this country, I think, in terms of it's so wrapped up in class politics as well that
well, here's my takeaway, Martin. I think the report is a bit of a curate's egg, good in parts.
There you go. Can you get curate's eggs on Deliveroo? Because that would be your takeaway.
Can I apologise to all of our viewers and listeners, despite that real shocker there from Martin Robinson? Please find it within you to like and subscribe and do all those other good things. Completely understand if you don't, as a result of that tawdry attempt at humour. But for those of you that you can overlook this transgression, I'm glad. Well, if nothing else, we're pretty grateful you made it that far. So good for you.
There you go.
That's all from me, Martin. Have you got any bombshells?
I daren't say anything else, really.
Okay.
But
is it? Oh, look, do you like this? Is it a tragicomedy of good intentions?
Ooh, The curriculum, you mean?
Yeah, no,
Is that
your humour.
my humour?
Yeah, yeah. Oh.
And on that note.
Okay. And on that note, thanks ever so much.
Take care.
See you next time.
Next time.